What it do? 50th, man. Cult leader. Yeah. We speak the truth, but we a cult leader. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a cult leader. Yeah. They say I'm in the cult, they say a nigga lost, but I done lost it all. Family and all, they didn't get involved. They just wanna ball, some wanna stall. Back against the wall, we gon' show them all. I don't wanna be here, land of the slaves. We are not afraid, we are not the same. I done seen death, nigga looking in his eyes. My higher man told me don't look surprised. Them haters gon' try, but them devils gon' cry. I don't wanna side, nigga, I just wanna ride. I don't wanna hide what I really feel inside. Them devils gonna pay for what they did to mine. Look me in my eyes. I want 7 wives, I want 7 kids. I want them to know that it was no hoe, that it was no joke. This is how it go. I do it with no patience. I mean no hesitation. Come on, Lord, we waiting. Look at what they saying. I can't let it be. I can't turn the cheek for what they did to you and what they did to me. They say I'm in the cult. I guess I'm in too deep. I guess it's really deeper than it really needs to be. Forever it's one West. Forever we the best. You don't want to test. It's only one West. Cult leader. Yeah. We speak the truth, but we a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Yeah.
Wages of sin, death to your cult leader. You ain't one West, so you don't know scripture. Nah, you ain't in the truth, so we don't know niggas. Look, I had to change my ways, I don't know sinning. Got the name changed, not to Zion, how would I? How was I ever in the world? I gotta ask myself. Man, a white man, the devil, I ain't imagining. Witness in the hill, but my people can't imagine hell. I'm in the field with black natives and Hispanics. Never drop my sword and I don't panic like Muhammad. The church and house of Satan, they just want your time. You could go against the law, but you won't survive. If okay had a dream, we get burned alive. Won't meet on my enemies, the worst advice. If you ain't U.P.K, you don't worship Christ. Nah, say you don't worship Christ.
Cult leader. Yeah. We speak the truth, but we a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Cops killing niggas, man. Word up, man. Voting ain't gonna help us, man. Marching ain't gonna help us, man. Protesting ain't gonna help us, man.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me, like me, like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. What it's like for a nigga like me. Gray skies overhead, this isn't looking likely, but I try to do the right thing like Spike Lee, and I talk to God, the one and almighty. Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
It ain't no joke, man. This shit ain't no joke. Like the boy Crop Wolf, I ain't blowing no smoke. You don't gotta look for to see it ain't no hope in this fucked up world. I'm just trying to stay afloat. I grew up in the ghetto in the middle of the streets. H-E-L-L, the belly of the beast. Thanksgiving came around, I wasn't having no feast when the landlord talking about breaking working out, at least goddamn. What's next? I'm going to with your boy, and she did it in the text that if I couldn't have nothing, that I could have love besides love for the money and selling these drugs. Sometimes it seems like it's the only way out, but every day I'm getting older and it's getting played out. Can't end up in the pen trying to find a way out. Don't forgive me for my sins, for my heart came down. My dad died. Biggest loss I ever had to take. He a big part of the reason I'm the man I am today. And moving on was a move I wasn't trying to make, but I got sons now, so I gotta lead them out straight. And even though success is looking unlikely, I stay mighty and pray nightly and remain doing the right thing like Spike Lee, which is hard in this life for a nigga like me. All my life I had to fight like my name's Sophia. Always had heart, never always no fear. When I stayed in some trouble, trouble always stayed near. When you black in America, that's all you call me. I can't lie. Some days I wanna break down and cry for me and my people that's fighting to stay alive. Cause living ain't living when you living to survive. Guess we living in hell till the heavens arrive. Now I mean,
what it's like for a nigga like me.
like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. What it's like for.
Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shem Yashai Barakatham. That means Yahweh bless you, brothers, in the name of Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shemar Lathan Bashim Yahweh. That means may Yahweh watch over you, sisters, in the name of who the world calls Christ. I'm priest and officer of 50 under commanding General Yahanna. We are the I.S.U.P.K, which was started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. All right. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite camp. What goes on in their house has nothing to do with us. You understand? We have no affiliation with any other Hebrew Israelite group. All right. Well, I'm priest and officer of 50 Shari 1. And tonight is Tuesday's night brotherhood class. All right. Every Tuesday night, brothers in the I.S.U.P.K are teaching brotherhood. All across North and South Central America, we're teaching brotherhood according to the Bible. What it is to be a good brother, what it is to be a good sister, what it is to be a good family unit. We're teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that we are all family. We are all one. And that we need to come back together. We need to unite. We need to gather ourselves as family, gather ourselves as brother, gather ourselves under the Most High, and come back to doing what he says. This Bible that we're reading out of, the 1611 King James Bible, if you don't have one, you need to get one. This Bible is a history book of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It's our history of our dealings with each other, of our dealings with our nation, of us dealing with the Most High. We had a relationship, our forefathers had a relationship with him right from Adam. And Adam through Noah, Noah through Shem, Shem through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are those 12 tribes. Those are the people that we descend from. And this Bible gives us all our rules, laws, regulations, our constitution, how we're supposed to deal with each other, how we're supposed to govern ourselves, govern our families, how we're supposed to run our nation. Now, because we chose to disobey the Most High stopped fighting for us. The Most High hasn't been with us for a long time. And he wasn't with us because we chose to disobey him. We chose to start sleeping with other nations. We chose to start dealing with other nations of people, taking on their laws, statutes, and customs, their way of life, started worshiping their gods. And because we chose to do that, the Most High chose not to deal with us. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are in a covenant with the Most High, a contract, an agreement. Meaning if we obey our Father, he'll be with us. But if we don't obey him, he will not be with us. There was a time when he took us out of the land of Egypt. He killed the Egyptians, took us out of slavery, took us from our oppressors, the people that ruled over us, and he moved us into our own land, moved us into Jerusalem. And so long as we dwell there, we're commanded to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We're required to obey what he says. And that's what we're trying to come back to in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. All right. There's a lot of laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible, meaning there's things in there that says, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery. These are a part of our laws, statutes, and commandments, our customs on how we're supposed to deal with one another. You look at the Constitution of Canada, for example, they say same-sex marriage is okay. It's okay for a man to sleep with a man. It's okay for a woman to lie down with a woman. In our Constitution, that is not okay. In our Constitution and our laws, that is a disgusting thing to do. That's not our way of life. That's the lifestyle of other nations. And so long as we continue to take on these customs of these other nations, the Most High will not be with us. The Most High will not fight for us. And we will continue to be oppressed by these other nations. This is our punishment for not obeying him. You understand? In this Bible, we have constitutions, or we have things like what we can eat and what we can't eat. The Most High told us not to eat the pig. Don't touch the pig. Don't eat elephant. Don't eat bat. Don't eat horse. Don't eat shrimp. Don't eat crabs, lobster, oysters. All these things that these other nations do. These things are not good for us. All right? And we got to come back to learning how to deal with one another, how to treat one another. We got to come back and learn to love ourselves. You understand? The Most High created us in his image and in his likeness. The Most High created us, and we have value. We are his chosen people. We are his children. The Most High loves us. He cares about us. It says in the scripture, he knows all the hairs on our head. You understand? Just imagine trying to count all the hairs on your head. That's how valuable you are to the Most High. So when he tells you something like don't eat pork, you should listen to him. He knows that pork is bad for you. He knows that a man laying down with another man is bad for you. You'll catch a blood disease, HIV, AIDS. These things are not good for us. Stealing from one another, coveting what other people have, being jealous of what other people have. These things are not good for us. And they affect us, they affect our families, they affect the people that we call friends, the people that we hang out with, our cousins, our relatives. When we don't deal with one another the way the Most High says, you understand? We destroy our nation. This is why we're destroyed today. Christ, who is second to the Most High, Christ, who is his beloved son, a man from the tribe of Judah, this brother kept all the laws, statutes, and commandments. And we have some of the records of what he taught and what he did while he was walking this earth. And he was reiterating what was in the Old Testament. He was reiterating what the Most High taught to Adam, what Adam passed down to his sons and taught to Noah. all the laws, statutes, and commandments that came from Moses. Christ spoke about these things. One of the things he told us was, number one, to love the Most High with all our heart, our strength, all our mind. Christ commanded us to love the Most High with everything, to put him first in everything, to always have him on our mind. You understand? And he said, two, to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you would keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, you would begin to love yourself. We're not allowed to do drugs. We're not allowed to do cocaine and heroin. We're not allowed to smoke weed. The Most High created plants for medicine, for medicinal use. Created these plants for us to heal. He didn't create these plants for us to abuse, to destroy our bodies with. You understand? The Most High has a reason for everything he created. He has a purpose for everything he created. And when we abuse things or take advantage of things or overuse things, we begin to destroy ourselves. The Most High told us not to be drunkards, alcoholics, going around pissing on ourselves, waking up not knowing what we did the last night, but to drink in moderation. You understand? The Most High told us not to give our minds over to too much sorrow. Meaning, don't be depressed and go grab a bottle of liquor and just think about all the sad things in life. Don't turn on some sad song, play it 100 times in your ear, drink some liquor and cry yourself to sleep. The Most High said, don't do that. Most High said, don't sleep with your brother's wife. Don't steal from one another. Don't smoke cigarettes. Don't eat shrimp. It's not good for you. And if we would learn to love the Most High with all our mind and all our strength, loving the Most High and doing what he says is loving ourselves. And as we begin to learn to love ourselves, well, second, Christ said to love your neighbor as yourself, meaning to have compassion on one another, to look at another brother who's smoking cigarettes and let him know that's not good for you. You got to put those cigarettes down. You got to put those drugs down. These things are destroying your life, your health. These things are hurting you. So if I see another brother doing something that I know is hurting him, I'm going to talk to that brother. I'm going to let him know this isn't good for you. I'm going to give him solutions to his problems. I'm going to teach him how to get off cigarettes. I'm going to teach him how to get off drugs. I'm not just going to leave my brother to die. You understand? We got to love our neighbors as ourselves. We got to look at the things that we go through and say, I wouldn't want that for myself, so why would I want that for you? How come every drug dealer is going around saying, I don't want my kids to live this life? And yet their kids grow up to live the exact same life. You understand? These are the curses that we have to break off of our community, that we have to break off of our nation. You don't want your kids to sell drugs? You got to stop selling drugs. You can't be a hypocrite. You got to remove the beam out of your own eye. and show your kids a better life. You understand? These are the teachings of Christ. Now, I'm going to get into a sad article, a sad story of one of my sisters, one of my family members, a sister from the tribe of Gad. This sister's name is Eishia Hudson. Salaki, if I'm not pronouncing your first name right, sis. And Salakia to your family if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Please forgive me. Now, this is a story. This is a story of a sister who was shot and killed in, I believe it's Winnipeg. And it's a sad thing what's happening to our kids, to this younger generation, to our daughters, our nieces and nephews. This sister was just 16 years old and she lost her life. You understand? So let's dive right into the story, and I'll talk more about it as we go. So this specific article was released January 28th of 2021, just a couple months ago. This was written in Manitoba. The title of it is "No Charges for Winnipeg Officer Who Shot 16-Year-Old Girl After Police Chase." Police watchdog releases report on death of Eishia Hudson, killed on April 2020. The father of an indigenous teen killed by a Winnipeg police officer last April is criticizing a police watchdog report which says no charges are recommended against the officer involved in the fatal shooting. The Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba, on its probe into the April 8th, 2020 death of a 16-year-old Eishia Hudson, the girl was shot and killed following a pursuit in which police say she drove a vehicle involved in a liquor store robbery in Winnipeg's Sage Creek neighborhood earlier that day. Now, this young sister was 16 years old. Eishia Hudson. Eishia Hudson, 16 years old. Her life was taken by a police officer who shot at her vehicle during a pursuit. Now, it's a sad thing for a young brother or sister to lose their life. Parents shouldn't be burying their children. You understand? It's a sad thing to see a youth lose their life. I thank the Most High that all souls return to the Father, and that this sister's soul will be regenerated. She's going to rise again. She's going to live again. She's going to have a new body. And she's going to have another chance to walk this earth. This is how life works. Life recycles. The water returns to where it came from. The wind returns to where it came from. Plants recycle. Vegetation recycles. That's the natural flow of life. This sister will live again, and she will live again as an Israelite. The Most High said, under the sun is a place of judgment. On earth is where we live out our punishments, where we live out our judgment, where we're rewarded for the good we do and we're rewarded for the evil that we do. And the Most High is in charge of everything that goes on. So this sister will live again. She will rise again. And our ancestors understood this. A lot of our ancestors had a lot of courage because they knew that they would be back here again on earth. And it's definitely a sad thing that this young sister lost her life. And what we need to do as a nation is we need to break these generational curses that we have. It shouldn't be a common thing that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are getting shot down by police at a young age. Getting shot down from the police as an adult. These different curses that pursue us and follow us, we have to break as a nation. One of the curses for disobeying the Most High is that we would have no safety in our streets. I'm paraphrasing. That we wouldn't feel safe in our streets. That our feet and our eyes wouldn't have any rest. And this is a curse that we have to break. This is a cycle that we have to stop. And there's a solution to breaking these generational curses that we have in the Bible. It begins with the fear of the Most High, obeying Him and doing what He says, obeying the prophets, obeying the men that the Most High sends, to govern our nation. This article goes on to read, she had a great smile. Anybody out there who knew her, you know she definitely wanted to light up the room, said William Hudson's, Eishia's father, at a Thursday afternoon news conference following the release of the report. She wanted to be the loudest one in the room, he said, describing his daughter as a girl who loved playing hockey and basketball. At the news conference, he and Manitoba Indigenous leaders criticized the report's findings. Hudson dismissed the report as biased, saying he did not trust the IIU to be impartial, and called on Premier Brian Pallister to launch a public inquiry into his daughter's death and other fatal police encounters involving Indigenous people. This incident is a tragedy, magnified by the loss of a young life, IIU Civilian Director Zane Tessler said during a separate news conference announcing the findings of the report. During its investigation, The IIU talked with 14 civilian witnesses, including 3 of the 4 passengers in the vehicle driven by Hudson. In addition to reviewing forensic evidence and audio recordings of a 911 call and Winnipeg police radio transmissions. The IIU also talked with several police officers. The officer directly involved in the shooting declined to be interviewed, but provided notes in a prepared statement, the IIU said. The report includes an account from a witness who recorded cell phone video of part of the incident at the intersection of Lagamodiere Boulevard and Fermor Avenue. So we got 2 quick videos that we'll play. And this is one of them.
From Sunny.
Slovakia. All right. This is the first video. And this is a video of the police chase on the shooting. Slovakia. Let me play that.
Let's look forward to looking forward. Explore every possible possibility.
Slovakia, we're just getting through the advertisement. All right, here we go.
Only something happened here. Look at.
So I'm just pausing here because there's another video that you see a bit better. But what's happening right now is there's a car right in front of him that's swerving. It drove over in the wrong side of the road, and then it swerved over that island. And so what takes place after the car swerves over the island is officers begin to shoot at the vehicle.
That guy.
I'll play that back one more time. I'm not sure if you can hear all right, but you hear 2 gunshots go off. So now, basically what happens is this vehicle goes swerving over the island because a cop set up a barricade, and then an officer gets out of his vehicle, fires 2 shots at the vehicle, assuming he fired directly at the young sister that lost her life, who was said she was driving. So he shot at the person driving. Vehicle stops. They get all the other people out of the car. I'm not sure. They haven't released the details of the other people who were in the car, at least in the articles that I've read. But they took this 16-year-old's life. Let's keep reading in the article. He describes seeing a vehicle which was being pursued by police hit another vehicle. Then, as the first vehicle, which was surrounded by police officers, tried to reverse, he heard the sound of gunshots, according to the IIU report. So this vehicle swerved into another vehicle. After it hit the vehicle, the sister, Eishia Hudson, she tries to reverse. And as she tries to reverse the vehicle, you hear 1 bullet go off. And that's what it says here, but we see in the video, you hear 2 bullets go off. It says 1 bullet hit Hudson, killing her. I watched the video over and over. I don't know how many times William Hudson said Thursday. He said the officer's written account didn't match up with what was shown on the video. Now, I read a statement that said that the police said that she was trying to hit an officer, which is why he pulled the trigger. Which I see why this sister's father said what the officer's written account didn't match up with what was shown on the video, because we see her reversing. There was no cops standing behind her vehicle when she went to reverse. It appeared that she was reversing to try to get away, but I couldn't say for sure exactly what was in her mind, other than she was probably scared shitless. Well, let's keep going. Danny Smith, chief of police for the Winnipeg Police Service, released a statement to news media late Thursday afternoon calling Eishia Hudson's death tragic. On that day, Eishia got caught up with a bunch of kids in a stolen vehicle, and things escalated, said Smith. A lot of people were put in harm's way, including the kids in the stolen vehicle. Innocent bystanders that worked in the liquor store or happened to be in traffic, and the police officers who were trying to intervene. The circumstances led to a split-second decision to use lethal force to stop the scenario from escalating further. All of us would have liked the outcome to be different. Now, something interesting that I find in the police force in Canada is, from my understanding, they still haven't changed it. I don't know if they will or not, but the police force doesn't have, it's not mandatory for them to always have their body body cameras on. I'm not sure if police even always have body cams on them in Canada. So a lot of, you could say, their story is just whatever they claim happened is what happens. And if they do have body cams, maybe they just keep the body cams. It's just for their own personal use. But that information is not released to the public. So we'll play this video. This is her father speaking about some of his frustrations. I can imagine a lot of this brother's frustrations of what went on with his daughter, or what happened to his daughter.
Let's look for unit. I feel complete anger with the decision given by the investigation unit. I feel complete anger. I feel the report was unclear and one-sided. I feel frustrated and disappointed with the outcome. The IAU works with the police every day. They can't be trusted to give a fair opinion. The report states that the footage is the most reliable piece of evidence. The statement from the subject officer and his recollection does not.
Now, Salaki, I'm gonna pause it there. He just said that the police said, or the investigation unit said, that their best piece of evidence was from that cell phone. The people who were recording what took place. Now, considering all the evil and speculation that's going on the police, all the uproar, all the lives that have been taken from the police, people being skeptical of the police force action, their training, I guess you could say their routines. With all the skeptical things from the public, I'm not sure why these police in Canada still don't have body cams. And if they do have body cams, why it's not mandatory that their camera is always on. This brother right here who lost his daughter, there shouldn't be any speculation as to what went on or what took place with his daughter. The police should be able to give a full, detailed account of what happened. And as they got busted with other people taking videos of them, see, like, the fact that the police's statement doesn't match up with the video recording is one of the reasons that everybody is up in arms on how the police deal with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Now, that's just the public speculation. When we read this Bible, we see that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have an enemy. The Most High said that Adam's seed and the serpent's seed would be at enmity with each other forever. We see that same spirit birthing into Esau and Jacob. Jacob being the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel, and Esau being the progenitor of the Edomites. That nation of people, those Caucasians, European man, the oppressor, the devil the Bible speaks of, those people is our enemies. Those people are not our friends. We can look at history. We can look at this past week, this past month, these past 2 years, the past 400 years. We can see that we are their enemies. We can see all the evil that they've done to us, all the hatred that they have for us. There is never going to be any peace between us. That's the spirit that those people carry. The Bible says that they had a perpetual hatred for us. And we got to understand that we will never get along with these people.
Right.
Right? Salakia. Shalom, Adawan, Yahbashim, Shabbat.
Hey, Shalom, Maki, Yahabashim, Yashabrak.
For tuning in. Everything to up?
No sweat. I'm too off.
Gone. Yeah, this is just reading over a story of a 16-year-old girl who was shot by police in Winnipeg.
Good night.
Now, try to give you a quick summary. The police said that in the police report, the police reported that that the driver was trying to hit a police officer. And because she was trying to hit a police officer, he decided to use deadly force. Now, there was another person across the street videotaping on his camera, and the police officer's report does not match up, which is what on camera. Slacking, which is on camera. And so the police officer said she was trying to hit a police officer. But in the video, you see she's trying to run from the police. The police set up a barricade. Her car swerved. And after her car swerved and hit another car, as soon as she hit another car, the police got out of their vehicle because they saw an opportunity to stop her. And she decided to put her car in reverse so that she could take off. And so you see her reverse maybe not even 2 yards, not even 3 feet. And as soon as she starts reversing, you hear 2 gunshots go off. So basically, the report did not match up, which is what we saw in the video camera.
Salakia,
so, sir.
How far was the police officer? Like, was the police officer in the front of her car or in the back of her car?
The police officers were all in their cars. And they had about 3 or 4 cars that were blocking the road. So as they were blocking the road, she swerved over in the other lane.
Okay.
And as she swerved over in the other lane, I don't know if she got scared that she was in that lane. So you see her swerve back over into the lane that she's supposed to be driving in. And as she swerved back, it looks like she hit a pedestrian's car.
Okay.
And so it's constant.
Did they shoot from, like, I was asking, were they shooting from the front of the car or the back of her car?
They were shooting, how do I explain this? So as soon as she hit what it looks like the pedestrian's car, that's when all the police swarmed out of their vehicles.
Oh, okay. So they're behind her. They're chasing her.
Yeah, they were chasing her.
Okay, so if I may, right? They used that opportunity to kill her. They wanted, like, we know that they hunt our steps. They're looking for opportunity to kill blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as soon as they wake up in the morning. They knew they could possibly get away with killing her with just the way that played out, right? They're gonna say she's using her vehicle as a weapon instead of them trying to get out the way, or like they didn't have to shoot her. They didn't even have to shoot. There's many times you see Edomites dragging police officers, right, from their cars and they don't shoot. There's many times you see Edomites reversing, trying to hit a police officer and they don't shoot, or trying to drive into a police officer and they shoot. They just wanted to kill that girl off.
Kind of sir. And Salakia, what tipped the police officers, I guess, to begin the chase was these kids stole some liquor, I guess, from an LCBO. And if not an LCBO, whatever liquor store was in Manitoba.
Right.
And I guess one of the clerks working at the liquor store called the police. I imagine they gave a description of who stole the liquor, and that's what began the police chase.
So are they saying the girl was the one who stole the liquor?
It doesn't say. The girl was just the girl who lost her life was driving the vehicle. It was a 16-year-old kid. Gone. So yeah, that's just kind of updating you. One of the things that the father was speaking on is why doesn't police, and the reason it was brought up because when this man lost his daughter's life, within a 10-day span, there were 3 police shootings on indigenous people. One brother was shot because he pointed a BB gun at the police officers. What they claim was a BB gun. And there was another sister who was shot, or no, Slack, it was another brother who was shot. Another brother who was shot, and it appeared that he had some mental health issues. Apparently, he was saying he wanted to die. He wanted to die by the hands of police or something like that. And 2 days later, he had a knife on him. That's what it was. He had a knife on him. The police ended up killing him. And so all these killings took place within a span of 10 days. And one of the things that this brother was saying is, why don't police in Canada, why isn't it mandatory that they're always having body cams on?
Right. So, Salakia, if I may, right, my question would be like, those shootings, did they all happen in the same town?
I am 90% sure they were all in the same town. All those articles were. Salakia, sir, do you know if Winnipeg's in Manitoba?
Salakia, when it comes to geography of the western provinces, I'm not sure if. I think Winnipeg is the city and Manitoba is the province.
Salakia, sir, I'm pretty sure that all these shootings took place in Winnipeg. There's a large indigenous community out there. So I'm fairly positive it was all in the same town or same city. But I would have to double check that.
So that definitely sounds like Lamentations 4 and 17, where they're hunting our steps, where they're trying to kill black, in this case Native Americans. They want to kill the children of Gad, and they're just finding little ways they can get away with it, right? For a country that has billions of dollars, police forces, especially in a city like Winnipeg that has a national hockey team that draws in millions of dollars, there should be a police officer crisis, right? Meaning someone on the police force should know how to deal with mental health, right? With all the money they spend on their parades and fancy new equipment, like they could have had someone for crisis management a long time ago. And also for body cams, with body cams, right? Depending on the city you are in, body cams are mandatory. But the thing with body cams is you could turn them off.
And so like that's what I think it is in Canada. I think it's mandatory that all cops have to have body cams, but
Right.
it's not mandatory that they always have it on. That's my understanding of it.
Right, because as we've seen this a few times. You could just, anybody watching, just go on Google, type on the Google machine, in the YouTube machine, police talking on body cams, right? Or police gets caught on body cams. There was a video I seen where this police officer, it was during a riot somewhere in America, where the police officer was talking on body cam, and he's just blatantly talking about crimes that he's committing, right? His partner has to step away because he knows that the camera's rolling, and he got to tell his partner the camera's rolling. So this guy's talking about, oh, how I almost hit someone with a car and how he made someone crash, right, with his car during the protest. And he steps away when the police officer realizes that he's on body cam. The look on his face is, it's like when a child gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar, right? Because he knew, for lack of better words, he effed up.
Sir.
So, okay, can you hear me? Am I cutting up?
No, Slaki, you were cutting out a little at the end there. But we all heard the majority of what you were saying.
Slaki, I'm probably getting traced.
Yeah, these we know these police do so, man. The amount of fuckery they get away with, Salakia for my language, it is ridiculous. I'm gonna keep on going with the video.
Not add up with the video footage. The statement from the subject officer and his recollection does not add up with the video footage. Look at the statement, watch the video. They do not go together. It's what I did last night. You know, I watched the video over and over. I don't know how many times, and for a parent to watch that video, I know I'm not sure if you guys have seen the video, but a parent to watch that video over and over to hear those guns, this guy just take your daughter's life.
So as that brother said, sad thing for him to go over that videotape. You can imagine how hard it is to bury your daughter, how hard it is to see your child lose their life before you. That's not an easy thing to deal with. And my condolences goes out to that brother. And as he said, what the police statement said just did not match up with the video. This article goes on to read, because Hudson died as a result of use of force by police officer acting in the course of duty, Manitoba's chief medical examiner will call for an inquest into the death. The inquest will look at the circumstances leading up to Hudson's death and will make recommendations to prevent a similar situation in the future. The WPS will fully cooperate and participate in the inquest once it's called, said Smith. Three police shootings in 2 weeks. So, as I was saying to Officer Zabadia, there's this loss of life sparked a lot of riots and calls for justice in the indigenous community, because 3 police shootings happened in a span of 10 days. This says in 2 weeks. The shooting, the first of 3 fatal encounters involving indigenous people and Winnipeg police within a span of less than 2 weeks last spring, sparked rallies, vigils, and calls for justice. The IIU, which is mandated to investigate all serious incidents involving Manitoba police, launched its investigation in April. Tesler said he was satisfied that no stone was left unturned, and he hoped that releasing the full report will mean the public can have confidence in the investigation. I'm gonna jump down. We got another clip. This is more of Eishia's Hudson's father. And what we do in the I.S.U.P.K, we're going to continue to bring these stories up. We're going to continue to show the evils of these oppressors that are over us.
To take away from the subject officer, the most important thing to take away from the subject officer statement is that he identified Eishia, my daughter, as an indigenous person. Who was young. Then he made an assumption that she was dangerous criminal, and that she had a weapon. When I seen the report, the main thing that stood out to me on that part right there was the indigenous part. So when you would identify my daughter or anybody that's indigenous, is it your first reaction to pull the gun? Like, would this have happened, say if the person was white, would that have happened? I highly don't believe that it would have happened.
Salaki, I'm going to play that back one more time. Get it out, brother.
Is it your first reaction to pull the gun? Like, would this have happened, say if the person was white, would that have happened?
Now, Salakia, it's for myself, it's a sad thing to see where a person has a tough time, Salakia, where a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian has a tough time accusing their oppressor. It appeared that it was a hard thing to say for that brother, that if the person driving the vehicle was a so-called white man or a so-called white girl, would the police pull the trigger? And he's asking that. That's a rhetorical question. Hell no. Hell no, the police would not pull the trigger. You understand? In the I.S.U.P.K, this is exactly what we do. We warn our family. We warn Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We let them know of the danger that's around them. We let them know who the devil the Bible speaks of is. We talk about the crimes of these evil bastards. We talk about the crimes, the molestation, the rape, the violence, the murder, putting drugs in our communities. all the oppressive garbage that this evil beast does, we talk about it. There was an oppressor who, if I have the numbers wrong, he went, was it Dylan Storm Ruth? Let me get the facts right. Dylan, I think his name was Dylan Storm Ruth. Let me read what this says. We're going to keep going with that article. Let me share this really quick. Dylan Storm Ruth. Dylan Storm Ruth, born April 3rd, 1994, is an American white supremacist, neo-Nazi, and mass murderer convicted for perpetrating the Charleston church shooting on June 17, 2015, in the U.S. state of South Carolina. During a Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, Ruth killed 9 people, all African Americans, including senior pastor and state senator Clementus I.S.U.P.K, and injured 1 other person. Dylan Storm Ruth killed 9 people, 9 black people. And let me see. Let's see what this says. This article says, did police take Dylan Storm Ruth to Burger King? Charleston church shooter Dylan Ruth was reportedly taken to Burger King after he was arrested for murdering 9 people. I don't even need to read this whole thing. This devil, after killing 9 African Americans, killed 9 people, went to a church, killed 9 people. He didn't lose his life. After killing 9 people, he was taken to Burger King. Good night. Killed 9 people and was taken to Burger King.
See if when you would identify my daughter or anybody that's indigenous, is it your first reaction to pull out a gun? Like, would this have happened? Say if the person was white, would that have happened? I highly don't believe that it would have happened.
Nah, brother, hell no. If he was white, hell no, the police wouldn't have pulled the trigger. Somebody made a call that some Europeans stole some liquor, nobody would be shot. Nobody would lose their life. And the only reason you make that statement is because you see what's going on. It's not a secret who the devil is. It's not a secret who the evil people are walking this earth. Your pastor would have you believe that some cartoon character with a pitchfork is going around harming people. In the I.S.U.P.K, we know who the devil is. And we tell our people who the devil is. We let our people know who the enemy is. The Bible says, never trust thine enemy. The Most High loves blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians enough to tell his children, never trust thine enemy. All right, let's read that. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. That's a commandment from the Most High. The Most High is commanding blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to love themselves. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. The Most High loves blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. He doesn't want us marrying these people. He doesn't want us living like they live, worshiping their gods, celebrating Christmas, celebrating their holidays, acting like they do, eating what they eat. Never trust thine enemies. Don't bring these people into your house. If you can make some money off them, sure, do some business with them. Keep them at a distance. The Most High is commanding you to love yourself, not to trust these people. And we should be teaching our brothers and sisters to do the same. That's part of what this brotherhood class is about. Protecting one another, fighting for one another, standing up for one another. The oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. And no, he would not have taken the life of another devil. They take care of their own. To a point, to an extent. They don't even show compassion on their own people. But they'll definitely show more compassion for their own people over their enemies, over the people that they hate. And that is you, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You are the people that they hate. That's why your daughter lost her life that day. And justice is coming. Most High, it says, if you shed a man's blood, justice is that your blood be shed. Life for a life. They that kill with the sword must be killed with the sword. We have justice coming. We just need to get ourselves right. We need to get ourselves in order. We need to come back to obeying the Most High. All right? Let's finish out this article. It says, the issues that were of concern to Chief Daniels are issues that still exist regardless of this report. I'm hopeful that people will give due consideration to the efforts undertaken by the IAU investigators in accumulating all of the evidence, and to the efforts undertaken by prosecutions in reviewing this matter. Someone says, Fontaine says, we ought not live in a province whereby the police become the judge, jury, and executioner of indigenous bodies, and in this case, an indigenous child. We ought to, as a province, demand more from our policing institutions. Now, this article has one more video. We'll play one more video, and then we'll get into some scripture.
What?
Salakia, just a quick ad.
Was for action. Outrage and disappointment as Eishia Hudson's parents addressed the decision not to charge the Winnipeg officer who shot and killed their daughter.
I've tried to pray and hope for the best, but also prepare myself for the worst. But as a parent, you can never prepare yourself for this.
Eishia Hudson was 16 years old when she was shot by Winnipeg police at this intersection of Fermor and Lagimodiere in April 2020. Eyewitness video captured the moment. Police say they were chasing a stolen vehicle following an alleged robbery in Sage Creek, and Hudson was driving. Police say the vehicle crossed the median and then went back before officers converged on the car. You can hear the shots as the vehicle lurches forward and reverses. Hudson was shot in the shoulder.
To watch that video over and over.
Say the vehicle crossing a stolen.
Yeah, so again, we see she was trying to run. Looks like she was trying to drive from the police, like she was trying to run from the police. Her car swerved over the median. When she swerved back into the other side, she hit a pedestrian's truck. It was a black truck. It was not a police officer's vehicle. After she hit the vehicle, she got into reverse. I'm not sure if she even reversed or if her car just bounced off the truck. Police got out and started firing.
Vehicle following an alleged robbery incident by Winnipeg police at this intersection of Fermor and Lagimodiere in April 2020. Eyewitness video captured the moment. Police say they were chasing a stolen vehicle following an alleged robbery in Sage Creek, and Hudson was driving. Police say the vehicle crossed the median and then went back before officers converged on the car. You can hear the shots as the vehicle lurches forward and reverses. Hudson was shot in the shoulder.
To watch that video over and over to hear those guns.
Police-related deaths of Indigenous people.
Systemic racism is alive. It's all over, and it's bad that the Winnipeg police are protected.
NDP Justice critic Nahani Fontaine echoed the family's calls for action.
We ought not live in a province whereby the police become the judge, jury, and executioner.
The IIU has offered to meet with the family and Indigenous leaders to go over the findings. The family has declined. Hudson's parents say their daughter had a great smile and would light up her room, and they will not stop fighting for change. Jill Kubra, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Right, so that's the end of the article. Quick shout out to the chat. Shalom, Sarah, daughter of Zion, Yahweh Shemar, Lathan Bashim Ashai. A lot for tuning in, sis. All right, so we touched a lot of that article. That should be a clear picture of what took place that day, and a clear picture on police violence to our indigenous brothers. We already know police violence on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Right? I think it's interesting to see. You got a Black Lives Matter movement going out protesting with signs saying Black Lives Matter. You got them putting signs up saying defund the police. And as this is going on, we have Native Americans walking around marching, saying Indigenous lives matter, holding up signs saying defund the police. You got some fake Christian groups or different Christian groups going around teaching that Native Indians are not Israelites. Native Americans are not Israelites. The people indigenous to this land are not Israelites. Yet all the curses not only fit blacks, but it also fits Native Americans, the people indigenous to this land. We're literally fighting the same fight. We literally have the same curses that are going on in our communities. Now, there was a time when the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom separated. And what Christ came to do is to join that brotherhood back together, join those kingdoms back together. And this is what this Bible is all about. Uniting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Coming together as a family and treating each other right. We got the same fight. We got to wake up and recognize who we are. We're the children of God. We're the apple of the Most High's eyes. That sister that lost her life, that's my sister. That's a daughter of Zion. The apple of the Most High's eyes, his beloved, his chosen. We got to come back together and learn to treat each other right. And we do that by breaking some of these generational curses. Let's jump into some scripture. All right, we're going to start in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 1. Our history book, our Constitution, this Bible, it has the solution for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We got to take that fog off of our eyes that this Bible is a white man's book. The Bible describes the Jews as being black, Christ as being black, Moses being a man of color, the disciples being referenced as black in skin color. Even you read in the book of Daniel, we read that the angels were black. The Most High is black, the Ancient of Days. This is not a white man's book. This book lets you know that the Caucasians are the devil, that they're a seed of evildoers, murderers, liars. They go around telling you that Christ is white, that Christ is a Caucasian with blue eyes. And they do that because they are devils. They are liars. They are deceivers. We got to understand who they are. We understand who they are by reading this Bible. Understand? We're going to start in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1. It says, "Now these are the commandments." Anytime you read this Bible, you got to understand that this is a book of order, instruction, rules, guidelines, history. It says, "Now these are the commandments." Command, that means the Most High is commanding blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to do something. Just as a father commands his child. Now these are the commandments, the statutes and the judgments, which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it. These laws, statutes, and commandments, we are commanded to do them. Not to be drug addicts, not to smoke cigarettes, not to eat shrimp, crab, and lobster, not to eat pork, to celebrate our high holy days, to keep the Passover, to keep the memorial of blowing of trumpets, to love our neighbors as ourselves, to forgive one another, to show compassion for one another. These are commandments. And these are things that we need to come back to. Verse 2 says, "That thou mightest fear the Lord thy God." This is what we're supposed to do, to fear the Lord our God. When you fear somebody, you obey them. When you fear what's going to happen to you in your life if you don't listen to the Most High, that is a good thing. To be afraid of our judgments, to be afraid of catching a blood disease, to be afraid of getting cancer, to be afraid of getting high blood pressure from eating pork. We are supposed to fear the Most High, fear his judgments, be afraid of what will happen if we don't listen. If you see a brother who's married, you see him walking with his wife, you should not be looking at that sister to lay down with her. You should be afraid of what's going to happen to you if you do. So what did Christ say? Don't even get it in your mind. Don't even think about it. We are to fear the Lord our God. Fear our power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Obey him and keep his commandments. It says that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life. We got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we got to teach it to our children. You understand? Our children are supposed to obey their parents. That is a commandment. That is something they are required to do. Our kids aren't supposed to be thieves. Our kids aren't supposed to be murderers, drug dealers. There should be no black on black crime, or black on brown crime, or brown on black crime, or brown on brown crime. That stuff shouldn't exist in our community. We shouldn't be gangbanging, getting into different mischief. Our kids aren't supposed to be doing these things. Teach your kids not to interrupt a man in his speech. Teach your children to have discipline, to have order, structure. Teach your children to obey rules. Not to get in the room and start bouncing off walls and screaming out loud and talking over everybody. Show them how to sit down and shut up. Teach them how to have some decorum, some discipline. And you can see an adult who wasn't taught discipline. They're in their 30s and they don't know how to keep their mouth shut. They don't know how not to talk over somebody. They don't know how not to interrupt somebody. Not how to be so damn emotional. We got to teach our kids how to be disciplined. This is a commandment from the Most High. And you should be afraid of what the Most High will do to you if you don't teach your kids these laws, statutes, and commandments. You should be afraid of what the Most High will do to you if you don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. Fear his judgment, his punishments. It says, and that thy days may be prolonged. We got to understand that these rules that the Most High gave us, they are good for us. These laws give us life. Not keeping these laws lead to death. You keep smoking that cigarette, you're going to die of cancer. You're a man laying down with another man, you are going to die of AIDS. These things are not good for us. The Most High wants us to live. The Most High wants us to have a healthy life. Right, let's jump down to verse 7. It says, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. We got to teach these laws to our children. And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Oh, Salakia. Verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. You understand? We got to teach our children how to keep these laws. Show them in their house what to do and what not to do as they're growing up. These laws got to be on our mind daily. These laws guide us. They direct us. They guide our steps. It says this is our wisdom in the sight of other nations. If we would follow these rules, we would have a good life. That's why the Most High gave it to us. Verse 8 says, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand. What does it mean to bind these laws, statutes, and commandments in our hand? Our hands is talking about the work that we do. Everything that we do, everything that we touch, these laws, statutes, and commandments should be on our mind. They should be a part of the work that we do. And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Meaning, Salakia. Meaning, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Meaning, when you think about these laws, statutes, and commandments, you should be thinking about the Most High. In everything you do, the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments should be on your mind. It said Abraham was counted righteous because of his faith. He had faith in the Most High. He believed in him. Because of his belief, he obeyed him. The Most High has to always be on our mind. And we have to follow him. All right, verse 9 says, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thine house and thy gates. Everything inside of our house should be lawful. There shouldn't be a rack of pork inside of our freezer. We shouldn't have drugs inside of our house. This house should be a place of peace, a place of rest, a place of order. Your house should represent the Most High. When somebody comes into your house, they should recognize that they're somewhere different. That they can't just speak any kind of way inside of your house. That they can't pull out one of your pots and start frying bacon. They can't pull a cigarette out and start smoking in your house. You understand? Jump down to verse 13. It says, thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Meaning we are supposed to do everything that the Most High says. Verse 14 says, ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. You're living in North and South Central America. You're living around heathens. You should not be acting the way they act. You see them celebrating birthdays. You should not be celebrating birthdays. They want to sing their national anthem, the Canadian anthem, the American anthem. You should not involve yourself in that. It has nothing to do with you. Their culture says it's okay for a man to lay down with a man. That is not your culture. They worship their own gods. They live their own type of way. And this is why the Most High made it a law that we don't have interracial marriage. That we don't marry these devils. That we don't marry these other cultures. Because the scriptures say it will turn our heart away from him. It'll turn our heart away from serving him. And this is what happened in our history. There was a time when the Most High removed all the heathens out of our land. Because for some reason, we always want to follow the cultures of another nation. We always want to do the things that they do. The Most High said not to do it, not to follow their ways, not to live like they do, not to worship their gods, not to marry their women. This is what the Most High is saying. Verse 15 says, "For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth." This is why we're so destroyed today, because we want to be like everybody else. The law says, don't follow a multitude to do evil. Don't live like these other nations. Don't follow somebody else to go and do something that goes against the Most High. The Most High is a jealous God. Doesn't want us serving other gods. Doesn't want us worshiping ourselves. He wants us obeying him. All right, let's drop that. Let's go to Proverbs 22 and verse 6. This Bible teaches blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians how to love themselves, how to love their families. The Bible teaches you how not to be a Christian, how not to be a Muslim, how not to follow these different religions, Judaism. I heard a Muslim say the other day that it's okay that Prophet Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. That's disgusting. The Most High doesn't want you being like Elam. The Most High doesn't want you acting like the Ishmaelites, the East Indians, those Arab countries, Arab nations. Most High doesn't want you acting like that. Most High doesn't want you worshiping their gods. They want to be Muslim, let them be Muslim. They want to follow a different religion and whatever it is, let them follow a different religion. That has nothing to do with us. You're Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. You need to follow your power, your God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that gave you laws, statutes, and commandments, told you how to prosper, taught you how to be successful, how to be healthy, how to raise your kids, how to treat your wife, how to treat your loved ones. These other nations don't know any better. So I said this would be our wisdom in the sight of other nations. We'll be the ones to let those East Indians know that pedophilia is wrong, that it's not okay for a grown man, Prophet Muhammad, to sleep with a 9-year-old girl. We were meant for rulership. These other nations don't know any better. This is Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Right? These law, statutes, and commandments, this is our kids' protection. This is their defense, their light. These law, statutes, and commandments will guide our kids to making good decisions. This is their protection. It says, train up a child in the way they should go, The way they should go is obeying their father, obeying Yahweh, obeying the Most High, the God of Israel. That's the way they should go. So let's drop to verse 15. It says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Children do stupid things. There's not a child on earth that doesn't do stupid things. There's not a child on earth that isn't foolish. You got to understand that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of us who are walking around as grown adults who are still foolish. There's that saying in the earth or the saying in the world, stop acting like a child. Stop acting childish. Does it mean stop acting stupid? Stop being foolish. A child makes these decisions. A child makes these mistakes. As you get older, you're supposed to know better. You're supposed to be more experienced. You're supposed to be wiser. But if you were never taught better, you may not know. Your parents didn't raise you in the way you should go. Your parents didn't teach you the laws, statutes, and commandments. You didn't have a protection. Which is why you're a grown adult marrying a whore. The Bible says, don't marry a whore. Don't marry a hoe. Don't marry a harlot, a prostitute. The Bible says that. That's a commandment. It's an order. It's instruction. If you're a brother who's ever married a harlot, you got your heart broke because she went out and slept with 50 other men. So the Most High told you not to do that. You understand? The Most High told you not to do that. These laws are our guidance. You're a sister who married a man who's beating you down every week, putting his hands on you, bruising you, punching you, spitting on you, whatever it may be. Well, guess what? Did your father pick your husband for you? Did the man who was in charge of you, who was in charge of protecting you and guiding you, making sure that you're safe, choose somebody who is safe for you to be with? Did your father pick a man who's keeping all the laws, statutes, and commandments? Pick a man who is slow to anger, who is quick to hear, slow to speak, a man who's compassionate, a man who doesn't get in his emotions, doesn't let his emotions rule him, a man who will never throw you away. You didn't have a man pick that man for you, so you've been playing Russian roulette with your life. You don't have any protection. You didn't have somebody protecting you. That's why you follow stupid sayings in the world that says, go sleep around with every man and learn what it is that pleases you, that sexually pleases you. And by the time you get married, you have some bipolar disease because you've let every man inside of you. Why you don't have some father in your kid's life because you went around sleeping with everybody. These are generational curses that we have to break. Verse 15 says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. The Most High understands that punishment will correct somebody. The reason I'm in the school of Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is because I'm tired of being punished. I'm tired of my life going wrong. I'm tired of drama and chaos and heartbreak and heartache. I'm tired of being punished. The book of Psalms, it says, the sacrifices of God are a broken and a contrite spirit. If you're an adult who's still walking around foolish, making stupid decisions, you got to reach a place where you have a broken spirit, where you humble down and say, you don't know what's good for your life. You don't know what decisions are best to make in your life. And the only way to obtain a good life or a better life, what did Christ say? The only way a man can enter the kingdom is that he be born again. You're a grown adult. You have to be reborn. You have to be a new creation. You have to think differently, talk differently, walk differently, move differently. You have to be born again. Just like a child. You got to come into this world and you need to be taught how to make good decisions. You need somebody to correct you. You need somebody to take orders from. This is what the school of I.S.U.P.K is. We have men above us that give us orders, and instructions. It's our job to obey those rules, obey those orders. And this is what we're supposed to teach our children. Let's jump to Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 15. Proverbs 29 and verse 15 says, the rod and reproof give wisdom. Why does the rod and reproof give wisdom? Rod and reproof is correction, is discipline. You ever picture somebody walking into a brick wall, and they keep doing it over and over, keep hitting their head off the wall over and over. When there's an exit door just 5 feet over, they could walk through that exit door. The only way they're going to stop walking into the wall is because they're going to get tired of hitting their head against the wall. There's going to be a point in time where they say, I'm sick of this. This hurts. I don't like it. I don't like this hell that I'm living in. I'm sick of seeing kids being shot and gunned down on the streets. I'm sick of seeing drugs destroy my family. I'm sick of my family dying of cancer. At some point in your life, you got to be sick of the hell that you're living in. Some point in life, you got to be sick of picking bad partners to lay down with. You got to be sick of getting in bad relationships. Asking yourself, why do I keep marrying abusive people? You got to be sick of making poor decisions. And when you reach that point, that correction, that discipline should guide you through that exit door. Should guide you on a different path. That's what correction and reproof is for. It's an evil thing not to discipline your kids. The Most High understands this. Jump to Ecclesiasticus chapter 7 and verse 23. This is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Chapter 7 and verse 23. And it says, hast thou children? Instruct them. You're a parent. If you have children, it is your job. It is an order from the Most High to instruct them. And bow down their neck from their youth. What does it mean to bow down their neck from their youth? You got to show your children that you are superior to them. That you are in charge of them. You understand? Your child should not be looking at you as their equal. Your child should not be looking at you as they are over you and that they don't have to listen to you and do what you say. Teach your child to be humble. Bow down their neck when they're in front of you. You understand? Let's jump to Ecclesiasticus. I'm just running through some scriptures fast. We're about to close out the class. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 16 and verse 1, it says, desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. I mean, we shouldn't desire to have a bunch of wicked kids. We shouldn't desire to have 10 kids running around doing what they want, doing what they think is best. It's not something that we should desire. Neither delight in ungodly sons. Neither should we take delight in them. You got a child that's an evil bastard, you should not be patting them on the back for everything they do. You understand? You should not be proud of your child because they choose not to obey you. There's some bad kids out there. Should not take delight in them. Should not approve of what they're doing. Verse 2 says, though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them. Verse 3, Trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000, and better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly. If you have one child, just one child, what does verse 4 say? For by one that hath understanding shall the city be replenished, but the kindred of the wicked shall speedily become desolate. We should not desire to have bad kids, and we shouldn't delight in them. You understand? The Bible says one child is better than 1,000 wicked. One just child is better than 1,000 wicked. There's a lot that you can accomplish in life with having one just kid that obeys their parents, one just kid that obeys the Most High, one just kid who's disciplined themselves to listen and obey their authorities. You understand? Your child's getting older, and you've done everything that you can to discipline them and train them and teach them in the way they should go. They get older. If they don't follow their ways, I have no problem disowning my kids. You don't want to obey the Most High? You are not my family. What did Christ say? Those who do the will of my Father. You're going to grow up and be an evil bastard and not serve the Lord? I'm not going to have anything to do with you. As you're born and you're in my care, I'll do everything in my power to show you these laws, statutes, and commandments. Show you how to keep the Passover, the Feast of First Fruits. Show you to have compassion on your brothers. How to be slow to anger. How to forgive your brothers 70 times 7. How to be long-suffering with your brothers. You understand? That's my job as a parent. And some of us as adults, how do we break this generational curse? We need new parents. Come in the I.S.U.P.K and get a new father. Find a new mother. Find new parents. Parents that obey these laws, statutes, and commandments. That will teach you and raise you up properly. Teach you and raise you to be proper men and women of the Lord. That's how we break these generational curses. Let's go to Colossians chapter 3 and verse 20. We're in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 20. And it says, children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. So say, children, obey your parents in all things. This is what the Most High is commanding you to do. You understand? The Most High is all about rank and order. All about following those who are over you. You shouldn't be a person walking around without a head, without a covering. You shouldn't be a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian walking around with no leadership. walking around with nobody to submit to. Christ said he came for the lost sheep. Sheep need a shepherd. Sheep need somebody to guide them, to instruct them. We are lost sheep out here doing all manner of wickedness. And we need to get in the I.S.U.P.K and get an authority. Get somebody who is over you, somebody to submit to, somebody to guide you and correct you, to love you and instruct you, to raise you up properly. Verse 20 again, it says, "Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord." Children are supposed to obey their parents. And parents are supposed to instruct them on how to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. Kids shouldn't be out here stealing. Kids shouldn't be out here robbing. Shouldn't be out till 1 in the morning getting high. It's our job as parents to instruct them. Understand? Let's grab one verse and then we'll end the class there. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. I think it's 11 and verse 13. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 13 says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter." This was King Solomon, the wisest man to ever walk the earth, the wisest Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to ever live. And his conclusion on life: fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. If we would keep these laws, statutes, and commandments on our mind, if these laws, statutes, and commandments would always be on our mind to guide us on how we make decisions, that would protect us from everything in life. It would literally protect us from all the evils on this earth. And this is what we have to come back to. This is how we break these generational curses. These laws, statutes, and commandments are our wisdom. You understand? You're a brother looking for a wife. You should be thinking, how can I protect this woman? Can I teach this woman? Can I instruct this woman? Can I guide her and raise her and protect her? Does she keep the laws, statutes, and commandments? Meaning, is she going to love me? Is she going to submit to me? Is she going to obey me? Is she going to be compassionate? Is she going to be slow to anger? You read through Proverbs chapter 31, you'll see what you'll read about a righteous woman. That's the kind of woman that you should marry. Not a Christian woman who says she's some Proverbs 31 wife and doesn't do anything that Proverbs chapter 31 says. Proverbs 31 says that she's a businesswoman. Her hands aren't idle. She works. She makes money. She'd be looking for a sister who has a lot of treasures. Not a woman who puts on a bunch of makeup and doesn't keep any of God's laws. A woman who puts on a bunch of makeup and 2 weeks later turns into a dragon after you lay down with her, after you marry her. These laws, statutes, and commandments are our wisdom. They help guide us, make good decisions. You understand? And so with that, we're going to end the Tuesdays night brotherhood class. We're a little over time. All right, let's clap it up. Tomorrow, Wednesday night on this channel, Officer Adiyar is going to be teaching a law class. Make sure you tune in, like, share, subscribe to the video. All right. This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We have the memorial of blowing of trumpets, which is on September, Monday the 6th. With that said, men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M, which means stand. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers, and then a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M Shabbat, I.M.A.J.M, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatham, Yad Yamatah. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M Shabbat, I.M.A.J.M, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alathan B'Hashem Yahushai, Yad Yamatah. Class dismissed.